Let me start at the top of Mindock Road where we have a couple of issues. The two telephone poles on the south side of Mindock Road at the west end, right by Firefighters Memorial Drive. When the flood came in October, it washed out behind both of those poles, behind two of the poles. And now the water is now undermining the road. The reason that is there is because on the left-hand side, the south side, is all rock ledge. It would be very expensive probably and time-consuming to chop that rock ledge out to create a ditch again so it doesn't undermine the road, or those poles don't come down. That's kind of a safety issue. Now, I spoke to Orange and Rockland 3 times, and they said they're aware of it, but it's not up to them. So I'm recommending that we install a corrugated pipe or 2 lengths of pipe in that area and backfill it so that it puts the poles in a safe position. It doesn't endanger cars from driving off the road into that because of the way the parking situation is up there. So before we pave, we should do that. Also, just at the stone wall on the unused part of the condo property, every time it rains, water comes out of there. And then it runs down the road, and then of course in the wintertime it freezes. And the town has to come down and salt it constantly. Every time it rains, it freezes. So it's an ice patch all the time. When the condo people put that pipe and catch basin in, they put it in the wrong place and pitched it backwards. So when we had the flood, the water went right through there and blew out the catch basin. The catch basin needs to be moved east by 40 feet. Now you can use the existing catch basin and grate and the existing pipe, but it needs to be moved 40 feet south so that when the water comes out of the wall, it goes into the drain and not past the drain. Okay, first of all, it's a safety issue with the ice. Second of all, it'll save the town a lot of time and a lot of money just because they have to salt it all the time. And with Mindock Park being down there now, the road has quadrupled, I would say, maybe tenfold in traffic. So that drainage ditch should be put in before we get pavement. Now, there's a 3-story house on Mindock Road. And I received a letter on 4/23 telling me that there was a hearing about that house, a public hearing, on 4/18. I didn't have a time machine, so it didn't work out too well for me. But one of the things was they wanted to put a commercial office in one of the spaces and 5 apartments. Well, I didn't make that meeting, but I just want to make it known now that we already have 2 residential pieces of property being used commercially. We don't need any more commercial down there. So they really shouldn't put another commercial, make anything commercial on that street. It's R5. I changed my restaurant from commercial to R5 in order to comply with the zoning. And now they want to have a commercial office over there. I don't think it's appropriate. And then again, it might be a moot point. And I say that because that house, how it's still standing, I have no idea. That's a testament to the workmanship and the quality of the materials that they used back in the 1800s. Because that 3-story building was the post office and general store on the first floor. The second floor was living quarters, and the third floor was, of course, rentals. Well, he can't get a well machine across to dig a well. And the well that's already there has no recovery time. A 3-story building under the new 2020 fire code will require sprinklers. That means if he doesn't have water, he'll have to build a 15,000-gallon holding tank with 2 redundant generators to supply the sprinklers to that building, which will cost in the neighborhood of $160,000, $170,000. Not to mention the fact that because the water went in the basement and out the other side, the foundation is shot. That means they'll have to needle pin the building to lift it up in order to put a foundation and set it back down, which will cost about $150,000 to $170,000. So that's why I say it's a moot point for that office, because he's never going to build on that lot unless he gets water. Mindock Road is in the water district, so I was led to believe we would have water. Now, I was told that the top of Canterbury Road and the top of Mine Road were never going to have water, so they never paid any tax. Whereas Mindock Road, the 17 properties there, have been paying the tax for ever since its inception, 20 years. When it was decided that Mindock Road wasn't going to have water, which I only found out in October, we should have been put in the same category as top of Mine and top of Canterbury. You're never going to have water, you don't pay any tax. But we weren't. We stayed in that district where we should have had water, but we didn't get it, and we still paid. So every time I paid my water bill, everybody in Fort Montgomery should have sent me a thank you note for helping pay their water bill. In the meantime, I'm drilling a new well for between $10,000 and $12,000. They haven't, no final cost yet. I have to maintain my own pump, I pay my own electricity, change my own filters. I have my own water treatment plant because the town hasn't given us water in District 2 like they said they were gonna. Now, what it boils down to is we want to have the water. If you don't want to give us the water, then on Mindock Road, then give us our money back with interest, because we shouldn't have paid all along. Because we were in the wrong, there was no category for us. Now, we've paid it, like I said, for 20 years. And now we have a bunch of wells since the flood that are contaminated. And so I looked that over very carefully, and what I did was I engineered how the water could be done. And let me give you a copy of that. And I'll give you a copy, Rich. But I don't have two more. Who would like one?
We can share.
I'm going to share mine.
Now, as you can see, the first three boxes are the houses on 9W. The second two boxes are my properties. The first one is on the road, and the second one is my vacant lot. Now, if you look to your left, you'll see it says FP, that's a fire plug. That fire plug is literally 75 feet away from my property. And it stopped. That's where you stop the water. 75 feet away from me. And my other neighbor, the condos, they have water. That's my neighbor also. They have water, but I don't have water. So from that fire plug, it could be extended right across my property and still maintain a 10-foot distance. I know I said 4 foot to you because that's what it is in New York City, but upon further review of the code, it's 10 feet. Except where it crosses the sewer line, it has to be a minimum of 12 inches above or below. So anyway, that pipe goes out, and then there's a T. It can go north and feed those 3 houses, and then if you look to the right, the fire plug for the for purging would be right next to 3 churches, which I think is a very good idea. Then that line goes down, as you can see, all the way down. This dotted line to the right is the sewer line. And our line comes straight down, and where that circle is where the pipes cross. The only spot where they cross, only one spot. And then that water line will go along the south side of the road, feeding all those houses. And then a fire plug can be put down either on the end of Ed's house, or you can go, and then you'll have a fire plug close to the sewer treatment plant. So if you needed to, you could run a hose from there down to the plant in order to save money, unless you want to go all the way down to the plant. Now, perhaps a committee can be formed, not to investigate, but a committee to plan on implementation of giving us our water on Mine Dock Road. Funding is a real problem, I know. And you mentioned it last meeting, that the budget has to be tight. We have real issues in the town financially, and I understand that. But we've been paying for that water all along. So all the 17 property owners that have been paying into the water tax for 20 years, or more or less, approximately 20 years, that money could go towards, or should have gone towards, giving water to part of the district that was neglected. That would be Mine Dock Road. Now, I spoke to the Department of Health, Orange County, and the commissioner. I've spoken to the New York State Commissioner of Health. I spoke to the New York Board of Public Services. These 3 entities all want me to keep them informed as to what's happening, because they may be able to help, both financially and with engineering costs. So I was told we were in a fire district, but the lines do nothing for Mine Dock Road in terms of fire. My fire insurance is my insurance, not the Fort Montgomery Fire Department. The fire plugs, in order to get to a house on Lower Mine Dock Road or somewhere on Mine Dock Road, by the time they roll the hoses out, your house is gone, because there's nothing close enough to protect it. So the fact that we're in water district, but also in the fire district, it doesn't hold any credence. It's almost disingenuous. Anyway, what we have here is a health and safety issue that needs to be addressed for the residents of Mine Dock Road. And I hope that something positive comes from this, and something within a timely manner. I don't want to wait until December and be told that, okay, we can do the water now, but now we have to wait till spring. I mean, if we're going to do it, let's try and do something now. That's why if we form a committee a committee would work on implementing, getting the engineering and so on and so forth, getting costs, getting everything. So, anyway, that's enough.
Thank you, John. Anybody have any comments?
Sure, I do.
Yeah.
So 30 Mine Dock Road, that big building you're talking about, has been getting worked on for the last 2 years. They went before the Zoning Board of Appeals and got a series of variances, not use, but they got some area variances. And then they went before the planning board. I'll let Justin speak to that. They've been before the planning board. He had to engineer a bridge he has to use to cross over the property to get to the house. I'm not sure how he's drilling a well, but he's on the go. He's moving forward. And that house was red tagged during the storm. Yet he's moving forward with it, which is rather amazing financially, however he's doing it. And I believe that is R1R over there, not R5.
It's all R5.
I think you're wrong. I think that's R1R. Across the road from you is R1R. That variance for the guy that owns Neighbors, when he got it, that was R1R. That big house is R1R. That's all R1R on that side. So just letting you know that.
R1R is commercial?
No.
So the use that was approved is a home office, which is allowed.
And that's not a commercial business?
Sure, it's commercial, but it's a home office, so there's certain restrictions around how a home office, what it can be and where it
You
can
just
be.
said it is a commercial.
Well, we can
Stop.
talk, stop, we can
Let's
talk
stop
semantics.
It got a variance. It got a
Didn't
variance.
get a variance for that. Home offices are permitted in the zone. You want to call it commercial? Fine. I happen to agree it's a commercial use. It's permitted by the zoning code.
Okay.
Second thing is, this person never told anybody that they're not gonna get water under any conditions. I believe last year during budget time, we reduced you all down there to 1 point, is that correct?
That's
From whatever it was before. And in the sewer district, there's other areas where Bernice Dyrolf lives and whatnot, they don't have sewer yet, but they pay reduced points on there. How that all evolved, I can't answer, but that's how it evolved. So in this man's eyes, it's not hopeless for Mine Dock Road getting water. I don't know that we can make it happen before December, but it's not hopeless at all, and I would never say anything like that.
Yeah, well, I'd add, I mean, the water project. So when the district was designed, it did include numerous properties that didn't get water, including yours and many others in town. After the lawsuits and the contamination, there was funds that brought water to more of the district, but not the entirety of the district. There's strict laws onto how you can get in and out of a district. That was designed and approved by the state and maybe mistakenly 25 years ago or 30 years ago when it was initially drawn up, but there's still many properties that don't have water, and they should, if they have no reasonable access or ability to access the water, they should be paying 1 point. As far as I know, they are.
Well, if the trunk is there, they can elect not to hook up, but they still pay the points.
Correct.
If
If
you
the
don't
trunk
have
is
a trunk.
right there, then they would have to
Right.
pay 7 points if they choose not to hook up.
Right.
That's correct.
Now, we don't have water, period. So
Correct.
why
The
do I
state
pay any points at all?
Because the state laws require that any property in the district to help maintain the district infrastructure. I agree.
How is that helping to maintain?
I agree, there's some oddities in the law. I'm not necessarily saying that it's a common sense law that's easily understandable. What we do know, having gone through the recent expansions, is that is exactly what the law says, and
Okay.
everyone within the district must help maintain. That's why we created the 10, the 7, the 4, and the 1. Hopefully you're paying 1. I haven't seen the roll recently to know each property.
You shouldn't have to pay any.
You can take that up with the state legislature.
Period. Now,
We can't change
there
that.
is no other place that in Fort Montgomery where they don't have access to water, or they elected not to. Mine Dock Road is the only one that doesn't have water that we don't have a choice of tying into or not. Everyone else-
That's not accurate. There are other areas in the town that are within the district that don't have pipes, right? It was not fully built out when it was designed. It was not completed in the last two projects. That's the reality. The pipes go certain places, they don't go others.
And where they don't go, the people that don't get the water,
They have to pay a point under state law if they're within the boundaries of the formed water district.
so that only means Mine Dock Road.
No, I
You're
haven't
talking about
looked at the...
Canterbury and top of Mine Road?
There are portions of Canterbury. Portions of Canterbury aren't in the district because it was, when it was designed, those portions of the town weren't included. But, and many prior to 10 years ago, there were numerous parts of the town that paid but didn't have any access to water, right? And 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it was expanded, it was doubled. I appreciate your frustration with it, but we can't, the town cannot change the state laws on how water districts function in the state of New York.
Okay, I think we'll carry on with the meeting.
Yes.
And
Thank you, John.
we're not going to bury this, John, but
Just a quick note, where I live at, I paid 10 points. I had 3 houses, only one of them was tied in. Why? Because there was a public lawsuit and a private lawsuit. Some people got 50 grand privately. I had neighbors on each side of me that got 50 grand privately, but I didn't get it. So I didn't have the money to tie in, and I didn't, okay? And that's just the way that whole MTP thing went.
But people that have the potential of tying in and elect not to, pay. Very simple.
I paid 10 points.
Right.
A lot.
Although, if you hooked up to the water, you would still have to pay 10 points.
That's correct.
But now you wouldn't have to have an electric pump, you wouldn't have to pay electricity, you wouldn't have filters.
But I didn't get the 50 grand from the lawsuit the way my neighbors did, because my MTBE readings weren't high enough. Maybe that's not fair either, but that's how it went down.
But still, it's you elected not to tie in.
Because I didn't have the money.
Okay, so you paid. We don't have that option. I'd like to have the option. In fact, I want to build a house on that lot in the back.
And we're gonna work on that. This is the source of a discussion, so to me, it's a positive moment.
But I was told by a town official, Mine Dock Road was never going
I'd
to
like
have
to know who
water.
that was. You can tell me in private, okay? I'd like to know who that was.
I'll tell you who it is right now in public, Gary Boyce.
He's not here anymore.
We all know that too. But at the time, and he's the one that told me. And then Mr. Marr told me they were going to pave the road. I said, well, wait a minute, before you pave the road, there's some things that need to be fixed. You don't want to go back and pave the road and then decide, oh, we need to cut the road open and move a pipe, or, let's fix that first.
okay, I want to move on here. Next on the agenda is our judges.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for putting us on the agenda. So Judge Minetti and I just wanted to bring to the board's attention that the part-time clerk position in the office, also referred to as the assistant clerk position, is currently at minimum wage, $15 an hour. It is a part-time position, 20 hours a week. Since my tenure here and since Judge Minetti's tenure here, we've had some turnover with that position. We are at a crossroads at this point, and we're asking the board to consider, that's my lawyer and me, the court. We're asking the board to consider really making the position at $20 an hour as opposed to the $15 an hour to give it the parity and the respect that the position warrants. Judge Minetti's going to go over some more specifics of what's actually entailed with the position, but we need to be able to retain competent, quality help in the office so that the court operations continue to be streamlined and efficient and not continuously having to train people over and over again. So we would really just like you to consider that. We understand that finances are an issue, but we think it's time to reevaluate the hourly wage for the position. So I'm going to hand it over to Judge Minetti. Thank you.
Hello, it's Judge Minetti, everyone. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the position and why it's so critical and an important part of the team in the clerk's office. It is not an entry-level position. The person in the position is required to be accurate, extremely accurate, trustworthy, have a sense of discretion. The court must remain neutral with any and all parties it communicates with, whether that's in writing, on the phone, in person. The court is neutral and cannot help anyone. So this person is the first-line person a lot of times in communication and must have that sense of discretion. Person has to be responsible, confidential, knowledgeable, can learn easily, adapt easily. Laws and procedures change all the time. So it's a job we need to keep. Each judge has one full-time clerk assigned to us, and the part-time clerk is often the person who receives on the front end. The clerks do their job, and the part-time clerk is involved in wrapping things up. So the role is very critical in understanding what the court does. As you all may know, on our website, we handle civil, including landlord-tenant, eviction, small claims, vehicle and traffic, parking, criminal, some actual park offenses, some municipal offenses, and this person in this position sounds like, oh, goes and gets the mail. No, they have to open every single piece of mail and know where in this picture that fits. It has to go to the right clerk. It can be a case, the file that's this big, and it has to fit in the right space, be brought to the clerk's attention at the right time. So there's also a lot of stress with the job. It's a very fast-moving office. So the person has to be able to multitask, work at a fast pace, and still be very accurate. This person also handles money. Any criminal fines that might be paid in person, parking fines, penalties, whatever. This person takes and handles money. Also, as I mentioned in the beginning of cases, there's intake. Someone comes to the counter, oh, I want to file a small claims case. This person needs to have a basic knowledge of what the first steps are and when to hand that off to the clerk. Then also in the middle of cases, when we have a court calendar, after that court calendar, certain things happen to the case files till the next court calendar, and then those cases need to be brought back in, and our clerks actually do the calendaring. But there is a constant flow of cooperation in the court operations. So, just for one thing, the pay needs to be commensurate to the job duties. And it's not. And as Judge Bourne also mentioned, we don't want to face having to have turnover again. It takes months to train someone and get them on board to where things are smoothly operating again. Then finally, after cases are finished, some cases have to be kept 25 years, some dispensed with in another manner. You have some things that happens to open warrants, some cases are sealed. So the person needs to just, not that they do this, but they need to know the slots and where things fit in for the full-time clerks to do. So we're asking for your consideration. Actually, I've done some research on other courts, and $20 an hour is very reasonable. The pay is that level, and it can even be up from that. So thank you for your consideration.
Can I ask a question? Barbara, just when you're losing your clerks, are you losing them to other courts, or are they moving away? What's the prime reason you sense the turnover in the office?
They're seeking higher pay. The two we've lost, higher pay. And with the one we lost before, the one we're hoping not to lose now, that person had 3 different jobs to make ends meet. And we don't know if $20 an hour will put someone over the edge of being able to stay. But we do know it will be more sustainable, and the person that we're facing possibly losing now is in the same
position. What kind of, do you know what clerks are getting paid in like Cornwall or Monroe? What's our surrounding?
In the village of Monroe, not the town of Monroe, which would have a bigger court than us, the village, which is a small court like us. They advertised last summer at $20 an hour. And it actually took them several months to hire a qualified person. That's the other thing. You get either people that are way underqualified, and then you get a few people, it seems like, well, maybe they're out of college and they haven't been able to find work yet. They might have the aptitude, but they're
take off on you.
Yeah,
as soon as they
so we just need to be able to hire the right skill set at the right pay.
Thank you, judges, both for.
Here's a question I have for you, judges. What's the longest duration of court clerk that you've had so far?
For the part-time position?
Yeah.
I believe that would have been Dawn. Yeah, I was here at the tail end of Dawn Poll, and I think
she was here 10 years, and I'm a resident of the community. Dawn, I hope I'm speaking okay. If I speak to it, her financial circumstances were, they had kids, it was family, they had kids, and the kids, one of them went to college, really needed to raise their kids. At the same time, they weren't at such a financial threshold. I do not believe that where we are today, put it that way. So Dawn was here a long time, since Alex was here.
Yes, yeah, so then to replace Dawn, we had hired someone who I think lasted for, she was here for like a day and a half. I don't really know what happened.
So she took the job and she was making $15 an hour, and then a day after she had the job,
yeah, which we put in the posting, and at that time it wasn't even $15 an hour. I think it was 14 and change. And then we had Debbie McLeod, and she was here for under a year, I want to say. Yeah, 9 or 10 months. And
she had 3 jobs.
And she had 3 jobs, but she did leave because she wound up getting full-time employment over at West Point in a completely different area. And then the part-time clerk that we have now, she was going to be leaving to go work for another court in a full-time position.
So-
If we're going to retain someone, you know, on a part-time basis, we're very, you know, upfront with people, this is part-time, it's, you know, it's 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's sort of, if that's what you're, you know, trying to do for whatever purpose, it's not workable at the $15 an hour.
Yeah, because let me just recap what I think I heard. And so somebody say 10 years for less than $15 an hour.
That's my understanding.
Somebody else came for close to 15, 14 and some change. They stayed a day and they left. And then someone came for the 14 and some change and stayed a whole year, but they were seeking and then found full-time employment.
Correct.
And then was there another one that came after that?
Yes, and that individual who's currently in the position is fantastic, but she also is, you know, looking for full-time employment, which we can't prevent that.
Right.
But, and that's not what we're trying to prevent. We want to be able to have someone, if this individual does leave, that then, you know, with the understanding that it's a part-time position, that at least it's more of a competitive hourly wage as opposed to $15 an hour. Because this cycle is just going to keep repeating. Someone's going to stay for a year and then...
Yeah, sounds like a stepping stone job. People see it as that, right?
Except for the individual who stayed, you know, for
10
like
years.
the approximate
Yeah.
10, 11 years.
Okay.
Because, you know, again, I don't know, but I'm assuming that those financial circumstances allow for it. It's not really like something we ask people, right, or any of our business. What fits for people, you know, in a part-time capacity
Right.
for household management is, you know, something that's particular to each individual. But when we're looking and we are anticipating that the individual who's in the position now is going to be leaving, you know, is going to leave for full-time employment. So when we repost the position, we want to be able to do so with, you know, a more competitive hourly wage, so that hopefully if the person is like, I'm just going to do part-time, that $20 an hour is going to convince someone to stay and not, you know, not be like, oh, I need to go get full-time employment, because that we can't control. But in terms of a viable, workable, part-time scenario in today's economy, $15 an hour for all of the job duties that this individual has in a court is paltry. So, you know, it just needs to be reevaluated in that aspect.
No, I understand.
And hiring too, to get better candidates who, once they're in an interview, just really understand that, okay, here, we can, you know, get more suitable candidates for the job description, and when they
So,
know
quick question for you.
this is what we're paying, we can do it.
The folks
better.
that you hired, were they suitable or not? Did you think if you had a chance to do it over again, would you still hire them? They're gone now, so you ain't got to
The
work.
person who was here for a day and a half.
So we missed it on that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's all I just kind of get some clarity. Thank you.
I'd like to have the board meet in an executive session, and because I don't want to air out everybody's wages and what we think of this person, that person, what have you. Because at $20 an hour, that would be more than 3 or 4 of our clerks that have been here for a while.
Raise immediately, and if it went 15%, the wage would be equal to more than what one person who's been in this building 20 years is currently making, so we have to be fair about that.
Yeah, just as a counterpoint, I mean, that's what we're requesting. If there's something that's more workable and in line with what the other clerks that may be part-time that work for the town.
That's why I want to sit and talk with the board, and we
Then that's
can.
totally
And
understandable.
actually, our next meeting, we are going to have an executive session with people that have to interview another police officer that will be joining us, I hope. So it'll be at least 2 weeks before I can give you an answer.
Sure, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
I have the minutes of our meeting of May 28th. Anybody like to approve him?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, thank you. Communications. Joe, I'm just going to bring this up as part of communication, and you can add to it when we get to you. You know, this program we have on electric provider, and it seems as though once we got into the program, we were finding out that they were charging more than Orange and Rockland would be. Now, I just got this today from the Public Service Department that O&R is going to put are requesting a 7.3% increase on base delivery. So I don't know where that puts us in relation to the other company.
Like I said.
And you might as well give your report.
Okay. Well, thank you for finding that today. The numbers do go through. Yeah, originally when the CCA came aboard, like you said, O&R ended up cutting its rates to 60, 70% less than what the CCA was offering, and, of course, most people opted out. For financial reasons, you can't blame them, but if O&R goes through with this, the CCA program, which is still in place in the village and town, their numbers, on top of being renewable energy, might actually become a better deal financially if you look strictly at money, their rates might start coming into play and being a better deal than what the O&R electric rates are going to be. So we'll keep an eye on that as soon as we get the referendum back from Jewel about the rates that they were putting out to bid to get for the upcoming season. We'll report on that, and we can just throw the numbers out and let people make their own decisions. But like I said, I'm glad this is in our back pocket because, again, for the good and bad of it, the program was able to, the option is there for the community without having to be in a binding contract or paying for that contract. All it cost was, I say all it cost was a keystroke. If you didn't want it, you had to go online and opt out. But now it might prove itself. So we'll keep an eye on it, and hopefully, it's there. Again, it's there, and if it becomes the better deal, and on top of it, it's renewable energy, then hopefully somebody will use it and be happy about it.
And the way it's set up is, suppose this O&R new rate is going to be more than what they're getting, so you can opt in. Now, Orange and Rockland changes their mind in 2 or 3 years from now and goes a lower rate, you can opt out. You can go in and out all you want.
And it's a billing cycle, for it to kick in or kick out. Right. Mm-hmm. All right. You want me to go on with everything?
Yeah, go on with everything.
Well, again, another thanks to Supervisor Livesey. Working on, our Channel 23 has been working pretty good until it wasn't last week. And I want to thank Lisa Bora today. We got on a call with the software company that the current computer is from 2005. So I did clean the computer today, and it seems to have helped the surging power problem. Right now it's stable, but we talked to a tech at the company, and we can replace the system for under $1,500. We have money from Spectrum for our cable contract here in the community. Part of that deal is $5,000 towards things like this. So at no cost to the community tax-wise, we probably will be upgrading the computer, which we're looking at in the category of around $1,500, which is nothing. I mean, in this line of AV, and keeping Channel 23 online. And so we should be able to ride that channel out. Bob called me up the other day and said, I want to take a ride. And I'm like, all right, where are we going? And that ride was to the top of the Mountain Avenue, and there's a green box up there, and it's everything cable coming in and out of Highland Falls. And we doors were unlocked. We opened them up, and sure enough, there was a mouse nest, a big mouse nest in there. We voiced our concerns to our contact at Spectrum, and they did send a tech down. I want to say, we thanked them. They responded quickly
absolutely.
on that, and sure enough, there were some wires that were chewed. So they tightened up things technical up there. So I don't know what the chewed wire has affected, but, well, everything's been fixed up there, and so we should stabilize channel 23. I did get word tonight that the YouTube feed wasn't working. What, it was working on your computer?
No,
Oh, it wasn't working.
the Wi-Fi.
Oh, the Wi-Fi do you think is the issue tonight? Like I said, one step forward, two steps behind.
That mouse is up on top of the hill.
You put them out of the home, they found a new home.
And like I said, since we had to redo the basement post-flood here in the town hall and clean things up, and the basement's a little more controlled environmentally, so we're hoping that's aiding probably some of the success of some of the technical things in this building, except for the Wi-Fi that have been working better. So anyway, we'll keep you posted on both the CCA and our upgrading of Channel 23, which I think we're going to do soon. The only other thing in recreation, just wanted a couple notes from Aaron Falk. They partnered with the Army West Point men's basketball to small preschool-age Little Shooters Clinic for local kids. And it was a mix of kids from West Point, Highland Falls, and Fort Montgomery. It was a free event, and that event is running through Thursday at the Crystal Arena. So again, all our communities coming together, and thanks, Aaron, to having more activities for our children, especially in sports. The head coach is Kevin Kuick, is that how it's pronounced? Sorry, Kevin, if you get wind of me blowing your name. He's been the main point of contact working with Aaron on the program. And Aaron said he is going to be providing up to 300 tickets to games this season to give away to the kids in the community for free. And to try to bring back Town of Highlands youth basketball night at one of their home games. It's one of the policies. They're working to redo the town basketball night and provide free tickets. So we thank you to Kevin Kuick for helping our community out. And also, he said he has great news regarding the U.S. Tennis Association grant for an instructional program they're going to do in July. The details are coming, but it looks like it's going to come through. So again, more tennis programs for our youth, and that's it. What else? I want to say we had the pleasure of attending the Evelyn Drew luncheon this weekend. Evelyn Drew, as a community member here, was known for how many things? Yeah, right. Anyway, so there's every year somebody is honored who serves our community well, and this year it was Sally Dorsch. And we could go on again and again about all the many things that Sally does for our community, and she does it without desire of any accolade, and much less she was completely humiliated, I would say, maybe a little embarrassed about the luncheon, but it was a very nice day, and I was proud. Nancy and I both were proud to be, and Bob, to be there and honor you. So congratulations, and that's the end of my report.
No, it isn't.
went into Richie.
No, it isn't. You're going to tell us which of these two options we're going to take and make a motion.
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I want to
Okay,
get it moving. All right?
My apologies, thank you. Back to Channel 23, there's two options. I think we're going to go with option number one. It's less expensive, and it provides everything that option two, which is a more expensive computer program, which we don't need, based on the conversation today. The company will offer a 3-year warranty on the computer, and if we go with option one, which uses computers which are, a lot of it is Chinese-sourced electronics, but this company is not on the Homeland Security watch list. They are approved as a good vendor. So we'll go with that price, and if something happens, they have these computers loaded with software in stock. We could be offline, online in a matter of days. So I'm going to recommend we go with option one based on everything we
Is that a motion?
today.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Okay, Kelly, I'm going to ask you to notify this company that we are going to take their option number 2 and
Number one.
number 1, yeah.
The other, I don't have any information.
I'll give it to
Oh,
you.
you got it, we'll get it to you, right?
No, I'll give it to you.
Okay. Even better, less for me to do.
Okay,
And that's it.
Yep.
Thanks, Mr. Supervisor.
Councilwoman Nancy?
Good evening, everybody. I do not have a report tonight. We didn't have zoning, we didn't have planning board since the last meeting, and I've been attending to some personal medical issues, so I have been not doing much of anything before tonight. So that's what I have.
I should have given you Sally.
I know, thanks. Thanks for nothing.
Took it all.
Councilman King?
Good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. Just a few notes for me, and forgive me if my voice sounds a little hoarse there. First of all, we got a report on the flag. Where's the flag at? Is anybody going to get that?
Where the flag is.
So, second, we're going to transition to Juneteenth weekend. We're coming up on Juneteenth weekend this coming Saturday. This will be our 8th annual. Can you believe that, folks? We've been around from when we first started that several years ago, and now here we are, the 8th annual Juneteenth celebration in the town of Highlands. Last year was the biggest one yet, and the comments made from folks who came from out of town, it was the biggest one within the Hudson Valley area. That's to include Poughkeepsie, Newburgh, Kingston, and all the bigger communities. So we're kind of proud of that thing, and it's very diverse. Folks come out from all over. This year, the Grand Marshal is going to be none other than the U.S. Army Garrison West Point Command Sergeant Major Michelle Frazier is our Grand Marshal. Fitting, because she's been a very good partner in the 2 years that she served here at West Point, and this is the year she's not going to retire and probably head back down to South Carolina. Although we made a push to try to keep her here, maybe do ROTC at O'Neill or something, but didn't work. So, but we like to thank her, if she's listening, for really being a good friend to the town of Highlands. And so what they have planned, the good committee that we have, these guys have been working phenomenally. I just want to say thank you to everyone that really has been working hard over the last 6-7 months. And you can add Sally in that group. You can add Dee Marino, the names that you hear all the time. Certainly Miss Ann Molina pushed through that and led the way. And there's lots of others. So thank you all. And then so bottom line, if you're going to be in the parade, 10 a.m. is line up. It's right over there at West Point by the Buffalo Soldier Field and the monument area there. The Buffalo Soldier, Sergeant Sanders Matthews' face, if you remember him, is over there. So we're going to line up there. We're going to come down Main Street at 11 o'clock a.m. and then we're going to stop at Memorial Park and do a small or brief flag raising ceremony. And that's how we usually do it. But then after that concludes, we're going to walk back over by the parking lot in front of Sacred Heart, municipal parking lot there in Highland Falls, and there's going to be a festival with vendors and some other things going on. So please come on out and celebrate freedom on Juneteenth celebration. Just so you know, historically, Juneteenth actually is on the 19th of June, but who wants to party on a Wednesday? So it's next week officially, but we're going to go ahead and get started on Saturday. All right, so along with that, those who know me, having served in the military for 30 years, so we try to use that as an opportunity to get veterans to come in our community and celebrate something called resilience. And really, it's a method I use when I was in the service, is a term I used to use, to trick them into training. So I want to talk about resilience as a way to combat veteran suicide. So we give out this award every year called the Resiliency Award. And the premise is, if I was to tell the story about Richie's ability to bounce back from adversity and all the things he's been through, you'd probably think he's just an old Hollywood superstar, but you don't know, he probably went through some things in life. But if I tell you his story, somebody in the audience might say, well, dog, maybe Richie could do it, maybe I could do it. Maybe I won't kill myself. It's a theory that I have, but we've been doing it for 8 years. And what I know for a fact that when you get those veterans together, there's some magic that happens. So This weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday is Holistic Health at the American Legion, Post 633, down on 134 Old Post Road, commanded by Commander John Flynn. We're going to have mindfulness, meditation, self-care, all these holistic ways to manage your stress and your anxiety, opposed to using pharmaceuticals or self-medication. You know what I mean by that. So we're going to show you some other ways to really manage your stress, or even if you have something like PTSD, which should help you. So that's going to be Friday. And then Saturday, we'll come back and ask the vets to get in the parade with us here in our community and wear their shirts that represent their branch of service with pride. Just jump in there and just join us. And then Saturday night, everybody's going to join us in a all-white affair. That means they're going to wear white to remember those that we've lost to suicide. And then we're going to have a band. We're going to have some food. We're going to have some other things there that's going to be fun. And then we're just really going to honor 15, it's probably about 12 to 15 veterans. Rhode Island's coming. New Jersey's coming. They're coming from other places like North Carolina, some other places right here. But we have our own local ones here that you'll see that getting honored. And I just want to highlight the fact that these folks have served their country honorably, and now they've transitioned to civilian life. Sometimes there's ups and sometimes there's down. But for one night, this Saturday night, they're going to feel like they're back amongst their comrades, and we're going to have a good time. And then to close them out with Sunday, we go over to Morgan's Farm. If you know where that's at, that's up by O'Neill High School. Now, I asked you if you know where it's at, because I went to O'Neill High School. I never knew it was back there.
You never snuck up there, Tom?
I never snuck up there.
You weren't very good at cutting class, okay, so.
So it wasn't until I came out of the Army I found out there's a farm back there. So back there is these lovely pastures where they have horses. They got a new equestrian center, and we're going to do a prayer breakfast, very brief, but then we're going to introduce folks to something called equine assisted learning experience. That's where you can use horses to help people with trauma, to reduce their stress, their anxiety. It's a science to this, so it's not me making it up. And we're going to do something special. Don't tell anybody about this, but I'm going to introduce a new concept this Sunday at that event. It's going to be the Youth Resiliency Award. So yeah, veterans, I take care of you on Saturday, but youth, I want to take care of on Sunday, and then we're going to let them hang out with the horses. But what I'm noticing, in and out of the community with the military children, there's an increase in stress, there's an increase in, I hate to say it, suicidal ideations even amongst youth. So we're going to try to introduce them to something that can help them. And then that's it, guys. We're going to close it out with a barbecue for anybody that doesn't have anything to do for Father's Day. If you're a father or you're a person that has a father, or you miss your father, whatever, we're going to be at the American Legion, and we're going to barbecue, and it's free. Anybody can come down and get something to eat. So that's it for that. And then emergency management, let's transition there. Thank you to Ms. Olga, who is leading the charge and helping me to coordinate a meeting with Mr. Neil Betts. He is the former New Paltz supervisor, and he is currently the Climate Resilience Program Coordinator with the Hudson River Estuary Program. And what we're going to be doing is talking about having a vulnerability assessment here in our community, because again, we know we just had a disaster almost a year ago, right? And so therefore, the emergency management team, we want to continue to look at ways we can mitigate things before they actually happen. So here's a gentleman that's in a position with a perspective that he wants to share with us, and I'm going to have a meeting with him sometime maybe next week or so, and I'm just informing the community that we're still on top of this emergency management and disaster preparedness stuff, even though you may not see it. And then we'll go into the police. I want to just say thank you again to our law enforcement officers here in the town, and to include the village for that matter. This weekend I saw something that appeared to be like an exercise for emergency management in real life. Why do I say that? Because right there in the village of Highlands Falls, we had multiple agencies functioning together as partners for one objective, and that's to keep the community safe. So we had the village of Highlands Falls leading the way. We had the town of Highlands in support. We also had the Bear Mountain Police in tow. And then we had even around the mountain, Cornwall Police was here. And then one of those Cornwall guys, I believe is one of our fire department, double hats over at the fire department. But you saw the teamwork between all of them. And then let's talk about adding to that, Captain Jeff Gathers, the ambulance corps was a part of that contingency. So when I look at that teamwork and that partnership and those communication lines, that tells me that we're exercising in a positive way our emergency management systems. So that's it, folks. I'm not going to be as long-winded as my colleague down on the end, and I already know I want to prep you for this one right here, but that's it for me.
I'm going to be all over the place.
Councilman Sullivan.
Thank you. So let me start with the building department. I read off the report for the month of May at the last meeting. No need to do that again. I believe everybody on the board received an email this morning, and I want to thank Trustee DeSalvo for sending it out, because I do look forward to communication, whether it's criticism or whatever, so I want to thank him for that. He outlined some properties he thought might be in a state of disrepair. I had Phil and Gabby answer that. Every one of those properties is under the radar. Everybody knows they get an advisory notice 2 or 3 times, sometimes 4 times. At some point, it goes to the village board, and they have a resolution to perhaps levy the taxes on the property, have somebody come fix it and get the money that way. That all takes time. There's one in particular down here in Villa Parkway that's had an RV sitting there forever, and some other things. That's been sold, somebody new bought it, they have a legitimate construction permit, and they're building something good there, which we in this community want. So I want to thank the village board for their concerns. They can come down and talk to the building department, that's in our agreement, and they do all the time. Philip, you've seen it here at these meetings, has people calling for his head. He has people walking into that building department down there calling for his head. I'd be willing to bet that nobody walks into Chief Burns' office calling for his head. So I would like to ask people to give him respect. It's been a tough year with all the red tags, that house on Monroe we talked about. He went through a lot of work. He got injured in doing so. And I think they're doing a fantastic job down in the building department. And they do use Lankin Tully for several projects that I referred them to one that was on Mountain Avenue that resolved a long-standing issue. So I want to compliment them for their tenacity in the building department, and I want to thank the village board for communicating more on that. Nancy said there's no zoning, and she's right, but they do meet on the 3rd Wednesday of the month at 7 o'clock here, and at their last meeting, they adjourned. They didn't close out, they adjourned a public hearing on 915 Route 9W in Fort Montgomery, which is the Garrison House, and that is to be continued. They have nothing else on their agenda, so that at the moment is to be continued on the 3rd Wednesday, which is a week from this week, at 7 o'clock here. Sewer. So I signed off on the monthly DMR today. Jimmy does half of it, I sign off on the other half. For the month of May, we had 3.1 inches of rain. Our average daily flow was down from 120,000 gallons a day last month to 74,000 gallons a day. June and July tend to be the lowest flow months of the year. And at the last meeting, I discussed that our engineering firm has a sub investigating the possibilities and probabilities of the plant being expanded, not expanded, dealing with the trailer park, and I don't mean to say that, facetiously, as to what to do when we are approaching capacity, which although this month is good, we all know we're at 80 to 85% annually. So, waiting to hear that report from the sewer. On water, so at the beginning of this next phase of water, there were approximately, Kelly can help me, 118 radio reads left to be replaced by cellular. Those parts were all purchased and they're doing them. And according to Greg, they've done about 30 or 40 since Gary's been gone, since they've been doing them. I'm very pleased with that. We're gonna probably get there early next year, if not the end of this year, with full cellular, functioning cellular, in the water districts 1 and 2. And also, the last meeting I mentioned, when we had the water rate increase, Trustee DeSalvo did send out an email saying that that wouldn't affect us until our fall cycle. Is that correct, Kelly?
That's correct.
So it gives us a chance to do whatever we're going to do with our rates to meet that. Sanitation, so due to some type of accident, Rockland County facility was closed for a week or two last month, and our municipal solid waste is going to Orange County, which is a longer trip and it costs more. We're back at Rockland now, which is a shorter trip and a better rate. Greg asked me to say this. I would like to bring to everyone's attention that there are an abnormally large number of people putting bulk items out for pickup without first contacting the sanitation department. This is not how it's done. And sometimes the landlord will evict somebody and you have a roll-off there. We're not in the business of doing that. There's got to be a reasonable amount. And if you call 845-446-3800, Tiffany Montalese will be happy to talk you through and schedule you for a bulk pickup, what's permitted, what's not permitted. And I would appreciate if people do that, because there's been a lot of people putting stuff out and it sits there and then they get annoyed when it's not picked up for a couple of weeks. So Greg asked me to convey that. The problems, I don't see Alina here, the problems that were happening on McCollum Lane have been solved. They changed your route, they changed your direction, and they worked on the truck, so no leakage there. The new garbage truck, as they refer to it, the one-armed bandit, we knew this before we ever got it, that to dump into it by hand is not possible. You have to be able to reach up like 6 feet. So, it's only being used 3 days a week, because they kind of can't use it for the recyclables. And I'm gonna have to get some numbers. I'd like to have Greg and Tiffany come and do a presentation on the possibility of getting recycling cans for everybody. I bought my own a couple years ago. It was $80, and it makes it easier for them, because the one-armed bandit can dump it, and they can use that truck every day. They can use it on recycling day if there's a recycling bin to put them in. We're gonna have to get some numbers and discuss wherever we're gonna go with that whole deal there. All right, I'm getting there, almost done. Oh, so, back to water again. I communicate with Peter Carroll a lot, and there's some pundits here, elderly. John's one, Bob's one, maybe they'll know what I'm gonna talk about. We had an inquisitive discussion a few days ago about Bog Meadow Road, and I know they're discussing up at the village, and just who maintains it. A few local older pundits, one of them being a former councilman and deputy supervisor at one time, told me that years ago, there was a highway superintendent, his name was either Pace or Lace Witten. Do you remember him? He liked to fish. And that's the reason why the town took care of that road, so that Pace could go out there and fish in his spare time. And I know that to be true, and I know in about 1983, I worked for a contractor that was hired by the town, Tony Servideo, Tony Rosselli watching, to put gravel item 4 on that road. We had a bulldozer in there for a couple of days doing that. And then they built a new dam. And since that time, I talked to Joe, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago about this. He said that the village is taking care of it at this point. And the village of Highland Falls owns that. I've heard the town owns it. It's 182 acres, and they own it. But the roads going to and from it involving Black Rock, Jim's Pond, if you want to lower it 4 feet, I think you have to contact Black Rock. You're going up Round Pond Road, which is West Point Road to get there. The deed is a hard read. It's one of those old ones that are black with the white writing on it. I'm sure that information is in there or somewhere. I don't have it, so I'm not looking for any particular controversy, except to say that I cannot assert that it's a town or the village that traditionally was supposed to take care of that road. I can say the town got into it because they had a highway superintendent that liked to go fishing. On history, last Saturday, I enjoyed a presentation at Fort Montgomery Battle Site. Battle Site member David Hanson had a very nice presentation on Richard Montgomery, who I've lived in here all my life. I didn't know a lot about him. He died in Quebec in battle, and had he not died, he probably would have been the second president of the United States. And if I had another son, which I'm not planning on, I would probably name him Montgomery. It was a really good presentation. This Saturday, Battle Site has a deputy historian from the town of Warwick doing a presentation this Thursday night at 7 p.m. on the 4th Militia under the command of General John Hawthorne. And this Saturday, not to interfere with Ty's events, from 11 to 4, there's Jim and Carla Keys. They're like rap, they're musical. They last year did This Man's a Traitor about Benedict Arnold. They're fantastic. I would recommend after going to Ty's parade that you go down there. They'll be there till 4 o'clock and listen to them. What's their subject matter going to be? The intersection of African and European music from colonial times and the history related there too. I did go to a sit and chat last week, was very well done, presented by Carla Burns, her brother Russell's my friend, and it was on the Buffalo Soldiers, and it was on her perspective of growing up here in, I'm not going to use the word divided, but a culturally immature community, and it was very good, the presentation that she made, and I didn't record the whole thing, sometimes I do, and I have something from Ronnie Coffey that she emailed here, which is, let me get this right, I want to mess this up, for the 4th of July celebration. It's called Lost and Found, a display of recent acquisitions and unique discoveries from our collection. Sunday, June 30th, from 12 to 3 at the Historical Society in Village Hall. Right, did everybody follow me chronologically? And finally, I see Olga's back there. The CEAC meets this Friday night, the second Friday of the month. And we're gonna meet here and Zoom simultaneously, is that correct? And I think that's it.
Thank you, sir. Very good report. Chief, do you have something?
Tough to follow now.
By the way, when I was coming here, Chief Burns drove by my house and waved. I was very impressed by that.
I didn't know you lived there. I was just talking to you. Around. So for the month of May, the police department responded to 655 calls for service, of which 408 were directed patrols. We initiated 104 traffic stops. We wrote 49 traffic tickets. We responded to, we handled 13 cases. We made 2 arrests and responded to 12 motor vehicle accidents. That's it.
You probably know this, but your Sunday officer that takes care of crossing at Sacred Heart, at Blessed Sacrament Chapel, he came and explained to me that the reason he wasn't out there right away, apparently someone did something wrong, and they didn't happen to have a license or a registration for the car, so he pulled them in the parking lot. Then he went out and tried to get people across the street. So, and he explained to me, what was going on. So he was doing a good job. Good job.
Thank you.
Justin, do you have anything?
All set, Supervisor.
Kelly, do you have anything?
I have one budget transfer.
Okay.
From Greg Marr to transfer $2,917.58 from the revenue from the garbage can sales to the sanitation supplies account so they can purchase more cans.
Do I have a motion to approve the budget transfer?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, thank you.
And then you have on the agenda about the account clerk.
Yep. Mhm. Yep. Well, I might as well do that right now since you brought it up. Kelly and I interviewed, 5 different people for the position of account clerk. Out of, I think, 40-some, that was the only ones that actually wanted to come and interview. the one we both liked, unfortunately, somehow, she must have had a change of mind when she left here, because we couldn't get a hold of her, and so, I'm not going to say we took the second best, but this other girl, Rebecca Nagel, was excellent also. It was kind of a tough choice between the two of them. So anyway, I'm going to make a motion that we hire Rebecca Nagel at the salary schedule with 1-year probation as the account clerk, beginning on July the 1st, 2024.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Not
Yes.
Town clerk, I think you said town clerk.
Account clerk.
Account clerk, okay.
No, I didn't say town.
Okay, I thought you said town.
I might have, I don't know. Okay, you mentioned Evelyn Drew and the award and what have you. I'm proud to say that Evelyn Drew was on my first board when I became supervisor. So I kind of go way back there a little bit, but, we had a little situation at that time. There was no charge for ambulance. It was all volunteer, and there was no charge or anything like that. So I found out from Mr. Copolt, I forget which one, that he asked me, why don't we charge? Because they charge over somewhere across the river. Gee, I don't know. So I looked into it, and I thought, wow, we can charge as much as the insurance company will pay. So I brought it up at a town board meeting. Well, we are a volunteer organization. We're not charging any. She got really bad. But she listened to logic, not at that meeting, a couple of meetings later, listened to logic, and as she said, I realized that things change, and this would be a good thing for the community. So the first time that we started charging, I didn't know what to charge. I knew the insurance companies could pay a certain amount. So what I did is I found out how many calls we have in a year and divided that into the budget, and that's what we charged. Well, believe it or not, the first year, it didn't cost us anything for the ambulance corps. It was all from the charges. So anyway, that's just a little history of Evie Drew. Okay, the computer we got squared away, and that's it. That's all I have.
Just on a side note, Richie, my neighbor was up at Bog Meadow yesterday in a Prius. He goes, it's doable.
He made it?
Oh, yeah.
I get to Lower Bog, and my little Ford Focus was struggling.
Okay. Yeah, he said it takes a little maneuvering in a few places, but it's not brutal yet, but it could use a grading for sure.
Side note on my Focus, about a week and a half ago, I was out in front of Town Hall, and I got clobbered. The car was totaled, and so I'm driving it around with zip ties and whatnot. I was doing town business in the line of duty. I lost my car in front of out here on Main Street, so I'm in the process of replacing it.
Put a voucher in so we can refuse it.
Want a minivan?
Public comment? Yes, sir.
I just have a question to Richard. Any progress on it through the road?
They did the survey. We approved for the survey. That's done. They've been down, I don't know if you saw them or not. They've been down
Okay,
there.
I see they were there 2 days.
And they're drawing up their plans out there, whatever they're gonna do next. I'm gonna call them. I usually talk to John, not O'Rourke, what's his name? Russo. On Thursdays is a good day to get him. I'm gonna talk to him on Thursday and see where they're at. But the ball is rolling, the survey is done, and they know what we want to do. He has to just give us something hard, and we will do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sally, you have something? Of course she does. Of course.
All right, so I'm going to do chamber stuff tonight. The Art Walk is going to be starting in about 2 weeks. Right now, I believe we have about 11 sculptures that are going to be displayed on Main Street in Highland Falls here. So that's a good thing. That's a beautiful thing that's about to start. The military banners. So if anyone still has or wants to order a military banner, we are still accepting them, probably until the end of this month. However, I do suggest getting them in as soon as possible because we're trying to just get them up and make our town really pretty and honor our military. I want to thank you guys and also the village board for all the support for Family Fun Day. It was a great day. We all had it was a beautiful day. And I believe our community had a nice day. So I want to thank all the support from you guys. I do have 4 kids that are going to be going out Sunday up to Morgan Farm.
Okay, great.
I have to say, I went last year to the Morgan Farm thing. It was amazing. I totally recommend anyone to go up there and to just see what Dwayne and Jacqueline do. It's utterly amazing. And I totally recommend our kids to go up there and for anyone. It's very peaceful. It's wonderful as to what they do with those horses and to help people.
And just so you know, to your point, Sally, I've rung some other folks, so Dwayne and Jackie that you're speaking about, the founders of Horses, Heroes, and Companions, so down there in Port Jervis, New York, some folks that I've affiliated with for last year, but they'll be back this year. But now we have people who are the mentors of Jackie, who has certified herself in natural lifemanship. And the one lady's name is Shannon Knapp, a world-renowned horse therapy person coming from Asheville, North Carolina, the author of 5 books, and she has a 110-acre farm down in North Carolina that I've personally been to. 25 horses. She's going to be here to help do a presentation. Then there's another young lady named Cynthia Beam coming from Nashville, Tennessee. So we're bringing in the cavalry, so to speak, for this year. So I hope those kids come out and take advantage of that.
Yeah, so I have 4. I have 4 kids that are definitely going to come out and help out with that one. I just spoke to Ann this morning, and she asked if I'd be able to round some kids up to go up there and check it out. I think that's it. I can't think of anything else.
Dancing under the stars.
Thank you very much.
No, we need an insurance policy.
Okay.
Okay. The standard insurance rider, and also we need to make it clear that there is no sale of alcohol beverages.
Yes, so I have had the discussion with Joe. We've discussed it quite a few times that we're not going to do alcohol vendoring down there. Actually, Joe and I were down there today trying to figure out some of the landscaping kind of stuff for it. But I will speak to the chamber and get that insurance for you guys. All right, and that is July 5th. If anyone within our community would like to be a vendor, please reach out to us, because obviously I love doing everything within our community. It's vendoring, music, whatever, any of that stuff. If you're interested, please reach out to myself and/or to Dee, because we'd love for you to be there.
And how could people do that again? Reach out to you? Chamber website?
So you could do the chamber website. Pretty much 80% of the village and town have my phone number, but I will give you my phone number. It's 845-521-5364. And then they could always reach out to any one of you. You have my number also. And then we're going to be starting to put it out there also on Facebook and other websites that we're going to be looking for the vendors and some music. So again, this year we're going for live music again. At Family Fun Day, I did all live music, and it was nice.
It was nice. Yeah, I had a note right here. I should have put my glasses on. It was a phenomenal job, great job. Bigger than last year. Each year seems to get bigger.
It does get a little bit bigger. It's the kids. The kids, they fundraise for that for 5 months. They fundraise for that. That whole event cost probably close to, I would say, $5,000.
Did a great job.
And it was free to our community.
Yeah.
The kids wanted to do it. And we want to do more of those.
Keep up the great work. That was phenomenal. I thought, I got around to all the vendors, I talked to some of the people that was there just visiting. Everybody was happy, as you say. It was a great day.
It was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day. A lot of kids got to play on the bounce houses. They had the trampoline things. I had 3 different music things going on. I had the School of Rock come in, which was a group of kids that played a whole bunch. I thought that they were great. I had Vanessa from Now is Eden. She has her own, she has a beautiful singing voice, so whatever. She has a beautiful singing voice. And I also had Daniel McBride. He has 13 hands, and he deals with like PTSD, emotional support, all those kind of things within his music. And a lot of that is also Native American, his music too. Phenomenal. Totally suggest having him come back. And I think that is it now.
The rock wall, that was
The rock wall.
Kids love the rock wall.
You saw the rock wall?
I couldn't get them off it.
Oh,
It was
good.
great. It was great. Let's go, we're leaving. No, we want to keep going with this rock wall. Do that again next year.
Do that again next year. So they seem to love the rock wall.
Yeah.
That's the first time we did that one. And the trampoline thing. You know, because I discuss everything with my kids and I let them choose what they want. Because they do all the fundraising, so why not have them do it, choose what they want. And as soon as they saw the rock wall, they had to have the rock wall.
Good job.
But okay, I think we're done now.
Thank you, sir.
Just one little note I have, John. Oh, go ahead, you going? Oh, I have a little note I'd like to add if anybody, am I okay?
No, you're not okay.
Okay, well, so my back porch every morning has about that much caterpillar poop on it. They like white oaks. I have a white oak that has what I estimate to be about 15,000 gypsy moths in it. They're approaching pupa stage. They like to go underneath places. The reason I'm saying is I hope everybody survived. Don't touch them. They secrete a histamine that gives you a rash. Because I was physically killing these things, I was so disgusted with them on my back porch, but I'm paying a price for that. So don't touch them.
Absolutely. Gary, did you have anything?
No, we're good. Thank you.
John, you have anything more you want to add? Yeah, you're John.
My hair is the best.
Oh, okay. No, I just wondered, it's public comment. And I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor? Aye.